The people at the New York Times have had an epiphany, and they have finally come to the realization that gun-free zones are stupid and do absolutely nothing to stop a would-be shooter. I know it's hard to believe for many of you watching that the New York Times finally grasped the severity of gun-free zones, but we'll get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we are the antidote, the daily onslaught of radical woke Marxist propaganda. So, the notion of having gun-free zones is pretty familiar to us all. The signs we see outside schools are supposed to discourage would-be shooters from bringing guns into the school, but in reality, they just end up acting like beacons for criminals who want to shoot as many people as possible, knowing that there will be no responsible adults around who could shoot back at them. I mean, this is something that conservatives have understood as common sense for the longest time, at least a minute after the first gun-free school zone law was created, right? But it has taken the New York Times this long to finally come to the realization that their support all these years of gun-free zones has contributed to the deaths of many people in mass shootings. Recently, the crazy far woke leftist politicians in New York made Times Square a gun-free zone. All the law-abiding gun owners learned this, but as always, the criminals didn't really care. Criminals don't obey laws. I mean, that's what makes them criminals if you think about it. So after a shooting happened in Times Square, the New York Times actually said, quote, "The shooting was the first since the creation of the expansive signposted zone, gun-free zone," the police said in a statement, and it immediately renewed questions about whether such a designation can truly protect the area. Well, bully for the New York Times, but you want to know something? They're about a decade too late. Because though someone may be crazy enough to take a gun to shoot multiple people, they're not stupid. They don't go running into a police station to shoot multiple cops. Mass shooters are not going to go into an area where people can shoot back at them. They're cowards, especially mass shooters who go after children in schools. I've been saying that gun-free zones cause mass shootings for years. People looked at me like I was the crazy one, but now, how fucking stupid do you have to be to think otherwise? For example, if you lived in a nice suburban house and you have kids, you have a wife, a dog, possibly even a cat, and you didn't own any guns, you didn't understand them, you didn't respect them, or you're just plain out afraid of them, right? Hey, that's fine. If you want to wait for 911 dial a prayer in your city, that's fine. If you want to put your family through something like that, if the shit ever hit the fan, right? But the equivalent to what gun-free zones are in schools would be something like this. Would you be dumb enough to put a sign outside your house like that that says this is a gun-free home? I would hope not. I mean, the liberals who ran public schools and pretty much any other area that declared a gun-free zone, they're advertising that no one inside has a gun. No one can shoot back at you. Don't you want a potential burglar to think that you could possibly have a gun in your home, whether you have one or not, and that it's going to be the end of their world if they try to break into your home and harm your family? Okay, so if you're a liberal and you would consider putting a sign like that outside your home for whatever crazy reason, right? Are you crazy enough to add another sign? Because, folks, that's what you're doing when you put up a sign that says that you have no guns to protect yourself or anyone else in this gun-free zone. Would you put your kids at risk like that? And what if you are a true progressive, woke, radical leftist parent? Would you add this sign as well? Of course, I'm just screwing around here to make a point, right? Rush Limbaugh used to say that you have to demonstrate absurdity by being absurd. And I think he's right. So I'm just trying to make the point here that gun-free zones cause death, and that you wouldn't want to bring that death on your own family, your own kin, right? So then why would you support gun-free school zones that could get other kids harmed, right? In fact, despite being gun-free zones, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, remember that? Nicholas Cruz, the Pulse nightclub, remember that? Sandy Hook Elementary School, Virginia Tech University, they were all gun-free zones, and they were targeted pretty much because they knew that no one would shoot back at them. I would say that nearly every mass shooting just about over the last 10 years, has been committed in a gun-free zone. Now, we do hear of the rare case, because the press doesn't like to talk about it, but when a shooter starts shooting at a person nearby when they weren't in a gun-free zone, they had a firearm and they shot back and defended themselves, and the shooter either ran away or he got killed. So it's nice that some far-left whack jobs at the New York Times have finally come to the realization that gun-free zone laws are crazy and that they cause death. All right, so it's good that they finally learned this. We just got a million other things that we got to have them up to speed for. All right, so that's it. Thanks a lot. Thanks for spending time with us. We'll see you in the next one.